Hello and welcome to an episode of Momento Malum today. During the fall of 2023, a farmer in Kingston, Ontario bred many interesting seedlings to try to breed new apple cultivars. I've tried 15 fruit from 15 of these trees, each one genetically different. I'll be giving a review of each potential cultivar I've tasted. I have no knowledge on how these actual trees would perform against the problems, both pathogenic or environmental. So I'll be basing whether or not each individual tree would be a good cultivar based on its fruit, particularly flavor and texture. None of these apples have names, so I'll be using apple number 1 to 15. Let's get started. Apple number 1 is a very unique apple for Ontario. The apple has dense flesh that's both crunchy and crispy. The flavor is quite sweet, akin to a mixture of Honeycrisp with a little bit of a banana note. There are a few cultivars with this flavor, and the majority are heirlooms like Ardcar and Russet and Summer Banana. I would expect it to be a good cultivar based on the flavor alone, so I would add this to a potential list of commercial cultivars. Commercial cultivars in this instance being cultivars suited for either mass production or a farmer's market. Apple number 2 resembles Golden Delicious. In Ontario, Golden Delicious tastes sweet but bland. The fruit of the seedling tastes roughly the same, but with more decent texture. I do not see this as a commercial apple, as there are a vast number of Golden Delicious style apples that taste like their progenitor, with maybe small variations within commercial production. Apple number 3 has a texture akin to apple number 1, but the flavor is like fruit candy or fruit punch with a sweet cherry note. The flavor, however, lacks the sourness, which in my opinion is needed to balance out the sweetness. This cultivar, in my opinion, would be a good breeding parent for future breeding efforts. I would crossbreed this cultivar with more acidic apples such as Northwestern Greening, Smokehouse, or Ashman's Kernel to improve the flavor. Apple number 4 is akin to Golden Delicious in flavor, but with an aftertaste I can only describe as being refreshing. The texture is also more crunchy than Golden Delicious, making it an overall improvement over Golden Delicious. I do not, however, see this as a commercial apple, for the same reason as apple number 2. Apple number 5 is akin to apple number 3, having a fruit candy / fruit punch flavor, although a bit more muted than number 3. I would speculate that apple number 3 and apple number 5 are siblings of some sort due to similar flavors. My review for apple number 3 and apple number 5 are the same. Apple number 6 has a texture and flavor akin to Honeycrisp, but the flavor is also similar to peach, having peach notes mixed in with the Honeycrisp flavor. I would expect this to become a commercial cultivar in the future, based on the flavor alone, and the texture as well. Apple number 7 has a texture akin to apple number 1. The flavor is earthy and sweet, but with a high level of acid compared to previous apples. The seedling also has a pear flavor note. I would expect this to become a commercial cultivar in the future. Apple number 8 tastes like and has a texture of Golden Delicious, both sweeter and crunchier texture. And that's it. Apple number 9 is fragrant and sweet with a gala flavor. The texture is akin to apple number 1. Apple number 10 is the most crunchy of the 15 I've had. From a flavor perspective, the flavor is akin to a well-ripened gala. Since the gala rarely ripens to its ideal state in Ontario, this cultivar could replace gala as a commercial cultivar within Ontario. One fall of the seedling is that the flavor disappears quite quickly after being eaten. Apple number 11 has a texture akin to Honeycrisp, and a flavor similar to Golden Delicious with an acidic middle point in the eating experience. It's a good apple, but in an era of a legion of apples with flavor akin to Golden Delicious, the seedling would need more refinement to become a commercial cultivar. The seedling, however, would make a good breeding parent in a breeding program, however. Apple number 12 is an apple with a texture akin to apple number 1. The flavor is like a mixture of Golden Delicious and Honeycrisp, with mango mixed in. The flavor lingers like most of the other cultivars with the exception of apple number 10 and apple number 2. This apple, in my opinion, has enough traits to set it apart from most other cultivars. It could be theoretically entered into commercial production. Apple number 13 was molded in the core of the apple, and that susceptibility on its own would leave it unsuitable for commercial production. Flavor and texture-wise, it is more dense than Honeycrisp, and has a flavor pretty much just like Honeycrisp. Based on what I've read, this cultivar is likely related to either Red or Red Delicious, since both are common apples in Canada, and both are susceptible to core rot. Apple number 14 is not as dense or crunchy as the previous apples, and flavor-wise, it's akin to Honeycrisp. Not anything to write home about in terms of uniqueness or difference. Apple number 15 is very dense, crunchy, and juicy in texture, akin to a mix of apple and Asian pear, with a Honeycrisp flavor mixed with a Bosc pear and caramel flavor notes. This could become a commercial cultivar quite easily, in my opinion. For posterity, here's a mold of apple number 13. To conclude, I would say apples 1, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 12, and 15 are potential commercial cultivars that would sell well under most systems. Apples 3, 5, 9, and 11 I would use for future breeding programs for amplification of the already interesting traits to create a more viable commercial cultivar for use in farmers markets and grocery stores. Apples 2, 4, 5, 8, and 14 are potential culls due to these not bringing anything to differentiate them greatly from the current commercial cultivars that would set them apart from what's common. Apples 2 and 13 are definite culls due to the poor flavor and lack of disease resistance, respectively. And that about covers everything. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you really enjoyed it and think you can donate, you can do so at Buy Me a Coffee, link in the description below. Thank you for watching.